Alright, it is a Friday, 9:28 a.m. It is November the 5th, and there are two stocks on the main watch list, ILUS and IND. I don't really like the listed stocks that much, but I will keep into consideration any listed stocks if there are just, no setups going on in the OTC market, and I just feel like I have to trade, but it is a Friday, the day I'm most likely red, so I'm probably going to just try my best to be a little cautious, not too cautious that I miss out on setups, but just not feel like I have to do anything like a big finish off the week or something like that and trade something that wasn't really that ideal. So IND could be a morning panic bounce play, which would be nice. It could also try to make some kind of a move heading towards the highs, at least not on E-Trade, but it would have been nice if maybe either of these had news or something so they can try to pump up their price action, make it look really nice, and maybe try to break the day highs, and then maybe have something that people can look forward to over the weekend, and then a whole bunch of orders placed for Monday, and just to offer a lot of price action. But it doesn't seem like there's news, at least here on E-Trade, and I'll be keeping these two in mind. Same setups, morning panic bounce plays, or maybe some kind of breakout setup, ideally something that trades off of VWAP. These two are my main focus, and that's what I have for right now. Alright, it is 9:52, and I want to go over the ideal or potential morning panic bounce plays. I did have an attempted buy order with ILUS at 9:32, and that was here. My limit price was 44.11. I didn't get executed. I did try though for a moment. I thought maybe I did get filled because it was pending, and then after I tried to cancel it, it had that pending alert, and sometimes it means I actually did get in, but in this case I didn't. And I don't know if I would have actually have sold towards that VWAP goal because it was looking a bit wicky right here, but it did offer a move, and I guess now it's downtrending. I might consider this for like a lower low setup. It all depends. I'll just keep watching this. IND is maybe trying to do like a dip under VWAP here, and then but then we have this high it just made, so it's not too ideal the way it started, but it can totally try to make a move towards the highs today, and that would be pretty cool if it does. AABB was a morning panic bounce play, but I didn't put any money in this because I just didn't like the way it was trading. It was a bit weird. And there was another one, it was AITX. This one worked, but as you can see, there was very small volume in this candle where it uptrended. It was downtrending. 34 was like a support level. It broke that, and then once it wasn't able to break 33, there was a wall of bidders at 33. I guess it was trading with a spread, and somebody hit the ask, and it made a really crazy move towards the upside. So that's why I didn't really get into any of these morning panic bounce plays. At least they did work, but they were pretty weird the way they did it. But maybe there's a setup here with ILUS. I'll keep looking, and I'll also be looking at the other ones that are uptrending, and maybe some listed stocks too. That's what I have for right now. Okay, it is 9:57. I actually did try to place an order at 44.01 just the previous minute, as you can see at 9:56, and literally the moment I placed my order, the bid and the ask just jumped, and now it literally just skipped on air. So this was in theory like a morning panic bounce play, lower low setup, lower here from the bottom of the initial morning panic, and goal would be VWAP. I'll probably touch it because it's trading with a very large spread. It literally just jumped on me. So yeah, I'm going to take into consideration that maybe today is just not my day, and I'm going to sit back and maybe even call it off early and not trade anything of these things. Just seem like it's just really against me, even though they're not. It's just bad timing, I guess, but at least I did have in theory my risk level and everything in place. Just to put in theory, I'm in at 44.01, and then it breaks the day low at 43.26, and I get out at 43.2, which will be right here if I were to cut losses, because I'm in here and it immediately fails. It starts downtrending or whatever. Price action doesn't support a nice move. So again, 43.2, that would have been 432. As you can see, the difference is $8, so that would have been pretty cool. I would have traded right in terms of how much size, but yeah, that does suck. It just literally jumped on air, and I did have that order there. Maybe if I was just 5 seconds earlier, I could have been executed, but that's totally fine. I'm not gonna, be too upset, but I am gonna keep in mind that I did just miss 2 setups with ILUS, and I don't want to try to force myself to trade anything that actually doesn't work out and is like dumb or something, and then I get wrecked there because I like missed the previous 2 setups, and now I'm really trying to get in a setup. Although IND could try to do something if it holds this, I guess this 224 level. This one will be a little hard if I were to trade it because it has like a wide spread, but yeah, that really stinks with that. But yeah, I would be trying to sell right here at this VWAP level at 44.91 or 45 would be nice right there, but I'll make an update and see what it does later. It really sucks it just did that, but that's totally fine. Alright, it is 10:14. I did not trade RGBP. I did try to see if it was tradable, and it is tradable on Schwab. I did try to get in this wick here, but it kind of turned around a bit quickly. And this is one of those times when it's just really hard to tell if this is going to be the shoulder of head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, and it's going to break, maybe 24, which is the neckline. Or I guess 2.4 pennies if you want to be specific, but it could also just actually be like the dip right here before it makes the actual shoulder. Well, at least right now it looks like it's actually being the dip before it makes the actual shoulder, and then it will be like an uptrending head and shoulders pattern, and that will be a little harder to trade because then this is going to be like a support level as well as here. So it's less ideal for a short setup, and I'm not interested in really shorting this one, but that's really cool. I guess this if it just keeps uptrending over a few minutes, this was like the dip before it makes the shoulder. But sometimes it does the shoulder, head, and then what you're thinking could be the dip for the potential shoulder tends to be like a very tiny looking shoulder, and it breaks under. So yeah, I was looking at RGBP for that. I guess I could have taken an entry, but I didn't want to be wrong because it felt like a 50-50 chance that it could have been like the actual dip setup before the shoulder forms, which is what it's doing right now, at least right now, or if it's going to be the shoulder right here and it's just going to fade off. But this is actually looking pretty cool. That's the setup I could have been in, and I would have been probably risking 24 breaking, and I would have been in at this 248 level, give or take, right under VWAP too. So not just like under VWAP higher lows, but also like the potential dip before the right shoulder is formed. That's really cool. That's a cool setup that I could have totally have traded, but I was a little just not 100% there to trade it, but it did offer that setup. That was a great buy opportunity. If it just keeps uptrending, it's gonna maybe find a top somewhere. Best case scenario, it doesn't make a head and shoulders, it just breaks the day highs. And IND is doing nothing that I'm really interested in right now. I think it just doesn't have enough volume today. ILUS, it did get to 45. That's a pretty cool attempt, although I didn't get to really be a part of it. Maybe if it breaks under VWAP one more time, it could be an inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then the dip under VWAP will be another shoulder. I'll keep that into consideration, but this might be a day where I don't trade anything, and that will be totally fine if that's the case. Alright, it is 1:31 p.m. and I want to make an update with that setup with ILUS. To be honest, very, very unlikely I would still be holding this setup, but I'm very happy to just see something that actually worked. Morning panic, bounce play here, and then this was a lower low setup, and I missed both of those entries, yeah. And then this one actually just kept putting up higher lows. Not really higher highs all the time, but definitely higher lows, although this might have been like a double bottom. If I were to have been long and actually decided to hold the setup a bit longer, it probably would have been super sketched out here when it did like a double bottom. And if sold, I would not be in the 48s. Not just that, 48 was also that multi-day resistance, so I probably would have thought this might have been it, and it might downtrend some more, but it's probably going to take a long time. No, this one actually worked out, so that's pretty cool. I was not a part of it. It just literally skipped on air with my entry. RGBP is uptrending. It is trying to break the high. This was like a confirmed breakout. Maybe if I saw this sooner, I would have considered it. I haven't been looking at the stocks recently. I've been doing other things. It's 1:32 p.m. It's later in the day. As for IND, this one unfortunately looks like it's failing, but it could be a dip buy, and you risk 20, and then you try to go for that run up maybe Monday or something like that. But it also might just not have enough esteem. But if I had to guess, it could do something, because a lot of these OTCs are trying to come back, like ILUS, RGBP. I'll make an update later, but yeah, that could have been a setup actually with RGBP. This is a confirmed breakout where it breaks out right here, it comes back to the breakout level from here, and then it's actually trying to move forward, and then of course it has to break this level now. But that's actually not a bad setup at all. I might even consider it's not really that off. Not the best daily. Volume is there. I don't know, I might actually consider longing this and having like a very wide risk level, but I'll trade small. I have no intentions of being long ILUS, although this one can continue to do some kind of a nice uptrend. I guess 49.27 is the level to break. It looks like it hasn't officially broken it, unless that was just in a previous. Yeah, that was a previous attempt. It's technically above it. That's pretty interesting. There's honestly a setup for all three of these. Wow. Alright, well, I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 150. I got in and out a trade. Actually held a little longer than what I felt like. It was just under 10 minutes anyway. This thing can totally work out. It probably will work out. I just didn't really want to hold that long. Let me just see here. I think I should just that's kind of dumb, but I might try to do a stop limit. It looks like it's doing it now. It's at 275. This was the important level to break out. It was a very long battle between 272 and 274. 274 had a lot of size, like 480,000 shares, and it wasn't going away. 272 had hidden size, but then it was like 168,000 shares. And then it actually started to downtrend, in that it looks like maybe the size was actually real and it was actually taking hits. And I did not want to just be red on the trade and see it break under 27, but it just broke and made an achievement. It got to 275 now. Anyway, I was in at right here, 1:36 p.m. and that was at 269. So right here, 269. I think it might have averaged to 27, but I was in right here and I sold at 46 right here at 273. I think it was like 2733. Let's see if it's actually going to break it now. I just didn't have the patience for it. It's not a very high priced stock, so maybe there are going to be less short sellers in theory, but we do have a big bidder now at 27. That's super nice. Oh wow, this thing is actually working. Yeah, it just didn't have the patience for it. I think in the future what I can do is maybe just throw a stop, and then at 26, which was my risk level, right? If it went back to 26, it's pretty much like it could do it later, but it's a failed trade setup at that point. The pattern didn't work, but that's nice. Let's see if somebody takes a hit at 278, even if it's like 500 shares. Nice, somebody hits. This is nice. This is going to be like a really confirmed breakout. So what was my setup? This was a confirmed breakout where this was a breakout level. It broke past it. It came back to the breakout level, and then it continued on, and I was in right here. But now it's actually doing it. I just didn't hold long enough. I got out at 46. Right, 146, and it's finally breaking out. 6 more minutes, so I would have had to have held the trade for quite a while, 16 minutes, before we start seeing this price action here. And now the question is, how much further is it going to go? Is it going to continue? It does have a dip here, so in theory this thing has a lot of room to make ideally a much higher high from this level right here. So I'll make an update to see what this thing does later. There are some big sellers on the ask, but I mean, anything can happen. I'm just curious what a sell at 275 would have been. 6. Oh, that is not my size. I was just saying how much I would have been in, how many shares if I was risking 27 breaking instead of it going to 26, and I would have been a much larger position. I would have been 4 times the size that I was in this time. Yeah, it would have been 160. Well, I guess now it's at 275. Yeah, 165 from my entry. So it'd only be up like $4. Yeah, just over $4, but it's actually working. What I could also do is I could maybe just sell half of my size and be patient. Yeah, I'll do that. I think that's a great idea. I can be half my size when a setup is just taking a while and I'm getting impatient and I don't want to just be in for a little blip and it makes a lower high off of here and then it downtrends and breaks 27. I think I can try selling half of my shares because it did work a little. It skipped on air literally like ILUS have said I was actually in time. And yeah, I can try selling half here and then I can risk 26. So then if it actually goes back to 26, boohoo. And in this case I'd be pretty happy because now it's at 28.1. That's pretty cool. And just out of curiosity, right, if I sold at 28, which is the bid, with a nice bidder, that's really good. Wow, that would be 168. I'd be up like $7. But this thing has a lot of room for momentum. This thing can really make a nice move towards the upside. And if there were shorts, this would be like a very common point where a lot of shorts would be covering too. That's a lot of size. And there's that big bidder at 28. There's one at 28.5. That's really cool. If I had been more patient, I could have been more profitable. I think I'll consider that. Maybe I'll even add a note here. What I can do is just sell half my position if it looks like it's taking a while to play out and it might be a lower high off of a range like here. And then if it does fail and breaks 27, well, geez, I might just cut the trade then and there. It all depends. Or just wait for 26. And you know, I'll still be break even, I think, or maybe just a little profitable. It depends. But that's pretty cool. There's a lot of shares being dumped, but you know, this thing can continue putting up lower highs and really make a move towards the upside. It went from following VWAP to now floating above it. So that is a little more scary, but this thing has a lot of room for improvement. Why did I pick RGBP instead of the other ones? IND doesn't really have to play out, and this would have been more like of a swing setup that would take days to play out, and I didn't like how it was under VWAP. As for ILUS, you know, it just didn't really seem like it could really do something. I mean, compared to RGBP, it almost looks like a Head and Shoulders. Let's hope it doesn't become a Head and Shoulders setup, because then I might actually be interested in shorting it. Shoulder, head, and then shoulder looking at a 15-minute chart. But that would take a super long time. We're talking about 15-minute, you know, intervals. So it's more ideal for me to have taken RGBP because it just seems like it had more momentum, especially how it transitioned from, you know, playing off of VWAP and then floating above it. It got as high as 285, at least right now. I'll make an update to see what it does later, but this setup did work out. This was a confirmed breakout setup, playing off of this 27 range here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll just make an update later and see what it does ultimately. Alright, it is 10:21 p.m. and I am here to call it off and to go over what ultimately happened with RGBP. Once again, my trade with RGBP was all the way back at 136, which was right about here, right there. Confirmed breakout setup, and my exit was at 46, so right about here when it was still at its highs, and I sold because it was taking a while. I was kind of worried about the price action, but you know, I did show that it eventually broke out of this range and it looked nice, and it did actually have this little downtrend now. That is why I had my risk level at 26, which actually would have kept me in the setup, although I probably would have been kind of annoyed, and maybe I would have tried to have sold back, you know, once it did a bounce, and then just say, hey, you know what, I don't want to really hold through this anymore, it did try to uptrend, and it did put like the same range here at the lows as it was here. And then it did have a nice run up towards the afternoon, which is always nice for a setup that you want to hold overnight, or in this case over the weekend. It's not really my type of thing. I still don't really have the confidence to hold setups overnight. I might try at some point to do that with like, you know, OTC runners, but I think that's way off in the future. This one did continue to hold itself. It didn't like absolutely fail and just downtrend the rest of the day. This thing could do some kind of a nice setup tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Monday, the next trading day, and in theory it broke out of the range, so you know, not a significant range because it did trade all the way back here, but in terms of this move, it did break out. This could do something nice. ILUS also did the same thing, I believe. No, yeah, this one isn't that nice. It downtrended. It looks kind of weak compared to RGBP. Yeah, it did do the inverse head, no, not the inverse, the regular head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. That's cool. Yeah, short in the 48s. You got the 45. Not the best range, but it happened. INND. Yeah, it did eventually try to turn around a little, but it wasn't as nice as the other two. That's all I have. Well, I'm just a setup there. Hey, I'm happy it's not a red day. And I did try ILUS for that morning panic bounce play. That was kind of iffy. And then this one would have been super nice too. So clearly I have a lot of room for improvements. I need to consider selling in pieces, not the entire setup, if I'm just not comfortable with it and I feel like it might be at the highs. Just again, a lot of room for improvement, but I'm very happy that I ended it the way I did Friday. Just at least it's not a big red day. I overtraded something dumb or anything like that. But still, I have a lot of things that I have to keep getting better at.